Hello and hi everyone, welcome back to the channel today. Today I'm going to teach you guys on how to build Zani properly. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So as you all know, Zani's banner is currently up. So most of you has been pulling for her, and congratulations to those of you that has got Zani and also her signature weapon. So now let's talk about her kit. Zani is such a simple character.
Anything I can help you
The way
with?
you play her is basically once you use her E skill and then you use her resonance liberation, you just use the basic attack. It's just a very simple gameplay, nothing complex. Unless you want to be extremely skillful, you can use the E skill to defense and counter attack. But that's I don't really prefer that kind of gameplay, to be honest. But if you are good at it, you can do that. But mostly, one thing to note is that Zani, she will only works. It's not she only works. She really need spectrophrasal because she will change it into, it's called heliacal. Wait, let me check. It's called heliacal amber. Yeah, so it's called as heliacal amber. So what she does is whenever the member in your team, for example Phoebe, who does places spectrophrasal when her confession stat, she will convert the spectrophrasal into heliacal amber. So what this heliacal amber does is that it helps to build your blaze. The blaze is when after you use your resonance liberation of Zani, she will start to do the crazy damage and she will start to consume the blaze stack. So once the blaze has been depleted, she will use another resonance liberation to end the inferno mod. So that's all for Zani explanation. So if you want to know more about the combo rotation, there's another video that I've made. You can watch that. For this one, I just want to talk about a kit and how to build her. So her most important part of the kit you need to build is crit damage. Why I say so? Unless you think that crit rate is the most important part, it's okay. But there's a reason I say so. The main reason you focus more on crit damage is because even though here my crit rate is just 48%, but if you look at so it gives you a 20% crit rate for 15 seconds whenever you are applying spectrophrasal. So keep in mind that whenever a teammate or resonator applies spectrophrasal, it will be converted at helical amber, but it also still count as spectrophrasal. So you still get a bonus of 20% of crit rate. Okay, now you already have 20% crit rate. So the another 12.8% you get from Shorekeeper. Shorekeeper ability is whenever you use your resonance liberation, she gives 12.5% of crit rate. So in total, you already have 32.5% of crit rate. Now you only need to build her around 70% the most if you have
Anything I
S0
can help
Zani.
you with?
So if you have a S0 Zani, you only need not 70%, is around 67% of crit rate. But here, why did I only did 48% is because I have a S2 Zani. That's why I told you guys before, if you have enough astrites to pull for Zani, it's better to go for S2, or if you have corals in the shop, just buy her S2. For me, the 20% is very good because this is not a time gated, but it's literally once you have S2, she already have by default 20% added to your crit rate. So that means you already have 52.5% of crit rate just from having this Shorekeeper and the Eternal Radiance set. So you only need to build around 48% to maximize your 100% crit rate. You don't need to get more than 100% crit rate, to be honest. So that's why I say that your main focus should be in crit damage. And another thing you have to focus is energy regen and attack. Why I saw energy regen is important is because you need to use her resonance liberation quite frequently. So that's why her energy regen is also a top priority. 120% to 130 is quite good already. And try to get more attack. Like if you look at my build, it's not that great, but since mine is S2, I still can do crazy damage with just these sets of build. But if I don't have a S2 Zani, what will I do is that build energy regen, more crit damage, a little bit more crit rate, and some more attack. So this is the most important three part of her kit. Next, let's talk about the weapon. The good thing about pulling for her weapon is that you have extra 48.6% crit damage. So that means you can easily achieve 300 plus crit damage if you try to get her weapon. Another thing that her weapon does, it gives you 12% attack bonus, and then it ignores 8% of the target's defense. Another thing it does is it also amplifies the spectral fatal damage by 50% for 6 seconds. So that's why this weapon is quite good. But if you don't have this weapon, you can go for his weapon. This one give a 12% attribute damage bonus, and it can increase your resonance liberation bonus for 8 seconds. And then another thing is it give you crit, right? So it's good to build around crit damage. So if you have his weapon, then I think you don't have to go for 60. I think around 50 is enough already. 50 crit, right? But the only problem is you can't get a lot of high crit damage for her if you don't pull this weapon, because it gives extra almost close to 50%. So I hope that this part is clear. So next, let's talk about her resonance chain. And before that, we talk about her forte. So for her forte, the main thing you want to focus on to build first is a forte. Try to get all three of these. Why? Because if you look at a forte skill, most of the damage comes from this. You see the heavy slash, it gives you at 424% damage, and then the heavy slash downing damage also give 424%. Nightfall is basically the same thing, it's just that they added in two different ways. So if you look at all of this is after she used her resonance liberation, these three. So that's why after resonance liberation, you should get a higher attack from her. And then this, and then if you look at this, her immediate intro skill will give a 12% damage bonus for 14 seconds. So let's say if you have a spectral robber, it is usually beneficial for him because he does spectral damage. But for Phoebe, it's not that great, because Phoebe, you want to use her as a confession stat mode, and in confession stat mode, Phoebe's damage is a bit low. Not low, it's actually abysmal if you ask me, compared to another stat which is, I forgot the name, absolution. Yes, so the absolution state, in absolution stat you can see a very big difference. So that's why I say it's more better to use spectral robber. It's beneficial for him, but of course if you want to apply more stacks, you need to use Phoebe. It's a premium unit. So next is when in ready stance, which is after you use your E skill where she use a shield to ready for counter attack, then all the damage taken is reduced by 40%. So what I say is that focus on this. Next, I will say, of course most people will say go for resonance liberation or resonance skill, but I will say go for basic attack first, because most of her damage come from basic attack. So if you see here, some of her basic attack have a great multiplier, especially the stage 4. This give around 67.60% times 4. So if she does a breakthrough damage, it will get even more higher. So focus this, then go for resonance liberation. Of course, a resonance liberation, the second one give a lot of damage too, but it depends. You can go either this first or this first or this first or this first. Like I will say go for normal attack first, then resonance liberation, but up to you guys, to be honest. And then finally focus on a resonance skill. Her intro is not really that great. It's just a normal dealing spectral damage, so it's not really that important. And try to maximize your crit rate here. She got a crit rate, so that means you can get extra crit rate from here, so you don't need to farm a lot of echoes with crits. That, to be honest, with this, it's very helpful. And then if possible, if you have a lot of resources, try to max her out. Maxing her out greatly beneficial for damage. So we already talked about a weapon, we already talked about her rotation, we already talked about which stats to focus on, we already talked about her echo sets. Okay, so we haven't talked about echo sets properly, but let me share what's the important thing. To be honest, just swap this. He is a very important part of Zani's damage, because if you look here, whenever you equip him, he will deal 880% of spectral damage, and then he also increases 12% of spectral damage bonus and 12% heavy attack. Zani's all damage comes from heavy attack and spectral damage, So this is extremely beneficial for Zani. You can swap between these two. You don't need to use this as your main stat, but use your main echo, but use this as your main echo. Hopefully this part was clear too. And then finally, let's talk about a sequence. So for me, the first sequence is quite beneficial because it gives you 50% spectral damage bonus for both your target action and forcible riposte. And then the nightfall can't be interrupted. That means if you want to do damage after resonance liberation, it will have 3 basic attacks: first, second, and third. After the third, you can't be interrupted. So it's a very useful when you are going against boss in maybe TOA, hologram, or some other content. And for me personally, I will say that S2 is very important too because of one reason. Just this one reason, which is crit rate is increased by 20% and no additional timer. That means it's not for 15 seconds, it's not for 20 seconds. It's straight up 20% crit rate increase, which is crazy if you ask me, because you can reduce your echo sets farming to get a very high crit rate. Even with 48%, I can achieve 100% easily just by unlocking the S2. So that's the main reason I went for the S2. So next we talk about her partners. First of all, I think you need Shopkeeper, because Shopkeeper is very beneficial for not only Zani but the entire roster of resonators that are available. Why? She gives both crit rate and crit damage bonus. And if you have enough astrite, you can go for the S2, which give an additional 40% attack percent for the members. And then for S1, it increases the duration. Next, another teammate will be the premium version. If you have, go for Phoebe, because Phoebe's conversion stat, resonance skill, if you go here, it applies spectrophrasal. For resonance skill, it will apply a max of 12, and then this one, it will apply at. So you can apply 20 from Phoebe alone, and this is greatly beneficial for Zani to build her helical ember, which in turn turn into blaze, which turns into your main damage. So this is your first option, which is the premium option. Of course, most people say go for her weapon also, because it gives her extra 30% bonus. And then if you go for S2, you get another 120% bonus. But if you don't have enough extra, just like me, I'm broke, so I can't get the S2 and the weapon. Still, if you can get S2 Zani, you can ignore this weapon and the S2. You can just invest on S2 Zani. It's enough. In my opinion, I think it's enough. You don't need to go for her weapon. You don't need to go for her S2. But if you have enough extra, you can go extra damage. Is always good. But she don't need it. You just need Zani as a S2. And then another option for Zani is that Spectral Rover. And Spectral Rover is basically a free version of Phoebe, because his resonance skill applies 2 stacks of Spectrophrasal, and his resonance liberation stack around 6. So you can just quick swap between Zani and Rover. I hope the video was helpful for those of you who are trying to build for Zani, and I hope that I could help you guys to build your Zani properly so that you can do the ultimate damage from her. So thanks for watching my video, and if you like, please subscribe and like button. Thank you guys, and if you have any question, please comment below. Bye.